Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us in this working group webinar. So the APrIGF working group on global internet governance processes. This is our first webinar for the year, and we will be discussing reflections from global events for Asia Pacific relevance. This session will be recorded and will be available on the APrIGF YouTube channel as well as the APrIGF website. Yeah, without further ado, I'll pass on the time to Syed as our moderator who will be taking us through the discussion with our three panels. Syed, please.
Thank you, Rani, and thank you everyone for joining. And big welcome to the speakers, and also welcome to all the participants and the audience and the beautiful audience out there for joining. And of course, good morning from my side, and afternoon, maybe afternoon, if not evening, from all of you. Yeah. And yes, welcome to all the speakers, and thank you for joining. And of course, in the speakers line, we have one of the distinguished panel we have today. We have Jennifer Chung. She is the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group Chair at United Nations IGF. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining. And we have Gitanjali Shah. She heads the WSIS and Stakeholder Engagement Division at International Telecommunication Union. Thank you, Gitanjali, for joining. And of course, we know you are on a different, vacation kind of thing, but you've still agreed to join. Thank you for joining. And yeah, and of course, we have Nandini Chami. She's a Deputy Director and Fellow at IT for Change, one of the prominent digital for development agency based out of India, New Delhi, and globally well known for the wonderful work. And yes, so with that small intro, because we will not have much time for the details, and we know all the important speakers here. We know their work, the beautiful work, and the important work that they are doing. And of course, small housekeeping rules. One is that we are starting now, of course, a little few minutes away from the few minutes behind the schedule, but we will finish in time. That is our commitment. And of course, and the question and answer session we have, and we can, I think, use the chat for putting questions and raising hands and asking questions. And of course, Rani will also help in the word cloud section of the questions to put questions, and then of course it will be reflected on the screen. And of course, there is a small change in the schedule. Of course, we have seen the agenda, and with this opening remark, then we'll be having the round one highlight, which is about the round one. We will have few minutes for each of the speakers for opening remarks, for what they think about the platform, the work they represented, that they are representing today in this webinar. In small intro they can give on that. And of course, in the second round, we have the some detailed discussions and the highlight sharing by the speakers. And I think that will be interesting session in the round two. And we all look forward. And of course, yeah, so that's the thing. And of course, we'll be having a group photograph, which will be for a memory for all of us, because Rania said that this is the first working group of Global Internet Governance Process, APrIGF, and this is the first webinar we are having this year. And what could be a better webinar than discussing on discussing three of the most important events that happened, and mainly in July, and of course the IGF permanent mandate, which is just we are still rejoicing that permanent mandacy from the annual conference to a permanent mandate. And of course, if not all of you, but some of you may know me. So I am Syed Qazi, and of course, I am the convener at the APrIGF Working Group on Global Internet Governance Processes, and also I represent Council for Social and Digital Development. So with that, we can start now. And so on a firefighting mode, not a firefighting, sorry, at a fire chat mode. I know, so I'm just starting with a small intro. One or two lines of intro. The intro is that, of course, that the IGF permanent mandate, we had that December 2025 is a historical year because we got the permanent mandate from an annual conference to the IGF permanent platform after 20 years of that annual mandate of conference being having, and after that we have this permanent mandate, and which is a huge significance going forward, being a secretariat, being a permanent, because of course the mandate means a lot of things, and that we would like to hear from Jennifer, of course. And of course, especially what is the kind of priority we have for this year, that because this is the first year also for the IGF mandate, permanent mandate forum as a forum, and of course what it carries in significance for this year for the IGF in 2026, which is happening in Kenya in December. So we'd like to hear from Jennifer on these important points. And of course, we had in fact in July, the Geneva Digital Week we had, where we had in fact, three major events we had. We had the Global AI Governance, first Global AI Governance event we had. We had the WSIS Forum 2026, which is again the first after the WSIS Plus 20 review declaration and the outcome discussions. And this is something very interesting and very, very, very significant for us. And of course, we had this AI for Global Good Summit also we had during the Geneva Week, Geneva Digital Week. So all these important events are happening in July. And of course, the IGF permanent mandate we have. And now the IGF Forum is a permanent forum, permanent institution within the UN mandate, and which means a lot of things for us, especially for the Asia Pacific region, and what it means for the Asia Pacific region, and especially for a forum like APrIGF, where we are constantly trying to evolve as a multi-stakeholder forum within the Asia Pacific region on digital policy issues and the digital development issues. And that is where we are today in this webinar, and we have invited some of the most important prolific people, resource person speakers who has been working for many, many years with their with their immense contribution to all this global digital dialogue policy related issues. And with that small intro, now I think let me invite first Jennifer for a quick overview from your side. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? And of course, giving a brief about this IGF forum mandate, and of how do you foresee going forward in these global digital processes, policy related dialogues and governance issues. Over to you, Jennifer. Jennifer, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Sorry, now can you hear me? Okay. Thank you so much, Syed. It's always such a pleasure being invited to speak with what I consider my home community, of course, at the Asia Pacific Regional IGF community. We are family, we are friends here, so I always feel very close when I'm able to speak, particularly on these things. So I guess maybe just a little bit of an overview. I think you mentioned and you touched on really important things. Of course, there is the celebration of the permanent mandate for the Internet Governance Forum, but we are now in 2026. This is the first year of the permanent mandate. What are we supposed to do? What are the strategic priorities that we need to really pay attention to? Because we are now going into a coordinated implementation phase of not only just the Global Digital Compact commitments, but of course the WSIS plus 20 outcomes, particularly the paragraphs that relate to the Internet Governance Forum. I would say, one of the most important things is, of course, working, coordinating even closer within the WSIS architecture. Of course, our friends, our colleagues at the WSIS Forum, and of course, the WSIS Action Line facilitators too. One thing that's particularly important, I think, with this more stable, permanent mandate, the mindset now can be looking at a multi-year strategic work plan. I think not just something that's been talked about for many, many years before we received the permanent mandate, but I think now is the first year we can actually implement this reality. Besides that, a very important thing is to be able to bring the strands of intersessional work even closer together. And part of that is innovating, and part of that is improving the formats we know. Things like the best practice forums have now been, evolved under the bigger umbrella of policy networks, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Of course, what we also know, the NRIs, the national, regional, sub-regional, and youth initiatives, very, very important strand of intersessional work, and of course our dynamic coalitions. And then finally, um, after a long list of these priorities, there is the targeted and cohesive agenda that the MAG is now working on, curating the workshops, curating all of the other sessions to make sure we're improving the user experience when you get to the global IGF, and even before that. So taking a look at capacity building, introducing this to new people coming to the IGF, and of course, a nice refresher to those who've come to IGFs before. We're hoping that this means there is a renewed interest and a stronger commitment to support the IGF, not just in terms of looking at it, of course, financial support, funding support is very important. Stability of that is very, very important. Sustainable funding is one of the biggest things that will allow us to make all of these improvements. But of course, strengthening the commitment, the engagement, at the global level, of course, the regional level, the national level, and here at APrIGF, I'm sure hoping that a lot of our community will also, do the same, whether or not you'll be able to join us in person in Nairobi later this year, or if you're able to, come into some of the sessions online. We're hoping to create a even more seamless experience for you, even if you're only able to join from local hubs or you're connecting from, I guess, your home, your work, or the room you are connecting from, that you'll still be part of this conversation. I guess I'll stop here for now because I know you will have other rounds of, interaction with us. So I'd like to see the time back to you. Thank you, Syed.
Thank you, Jen. I think that's a good opening remarks from you. And of course, two words I'm taking it from there is focusing on the implementation, and of course the GDC mandate of GDC and WSIS mandate, of course, the implementation of it. And also you said about innovating and improving the processes. That's very, very important that you mentioned. Thank you so much. So now let me welcome Gitanjali for your opening remarks. And of course, we'll have a chance for a wider, we will just take more inputs from you in the next round. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Syed. Can you hear me?
Yes, very loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Syed. I was also asked to highlight on the outcomes of the WSIS Forum and the Digital Week. So I'll be very quick with that, so that those of you who couldn't join us can get a glimpse of what happened and how you can contribute next year and the upcoming years till 2035, till we have our mandate. Jennifer spoke about the WSIS Plus 20 review.
I'm sorry, Gitanjali, can I just say,
Yeah,
if you
sure.
can share this PPT in the next round, is it okay? Just an opening remark.
Okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure about that.
Just
an this is just an intro. Okay, so Jennifer already spoke at length about the WSIS Plus 20 review, which was an outstanding achievement, not only for the multi-stakeholder concept within WSIS, because we were able to show during UNGA that multi-stakeholderism is key to any UN process. It was not that the two co-facilitators, the co-facts from Albania and Kenya, were able to do this alone, but we were able to kind of work together to help them to have several briefings with governments, governments in New York, especially. I saw Amrita, Jennifer, Nandini, ITU, all of us were there to ensure that we are providing support to the co-facts, and we are able to let them know that the WSIS framework, as it is working right now, with the framework of the WSIS action lines, the IGF, the WSIS Forum, the stock taking, the prizes, is a beautiful platform where all stakeholders are involved, and that they should only help us to enhance this platform. Of course, we also committed that the WSIS architecture, of just following the instructs from the member states. We are only the UN system is only the secretariat that kind of implements the actions and the comments of the member states at the UNGA, along with the multi-stakeholder community. So we have also been asked to include the GDC commitments within the WSIS process, which we are also doing really beautifully with all our stakeholders. The United Nations Group on Information Society, which ITU is a chair of currently and is the secretariat, we created a mapping of the outcomes of the GDC with the existing WSIS architecture. And you should look at that because the work of the IGF also is very prominently visible there so that we can show this alignment to the world. So I would also just re-emphasize that Syed also mentioned in the beginning that this was historic. It proved that multi-stakeholderism is key within any process, any UN process, and that our community never fails us. Actually, that's what I felt, Jennifer and Amrita, Nandini. We were also active and vocal in New York, but without the support, the full commitment of our community, we couldn't have done anything. So the WSIS community never fails us because they believe in the process. And we are always here, especially ITU as the UN system, to ensure that we can deliver on the commitments. Back to you, Sayed.
Thank you so much. And I think I like the way you said, we never fail and the community never fails. And that is what we have achieved so many milestones by now. I think that is the most important thing to celebrate together. And thank you for that very positive, I think, statement that you made. So Nandini, I think we now have Nandini. And hello, Nandini. Good morning. And I invite you to share your quick opening remarks of your being present and also your contribution to on the AI Global AI Governance Summit that we had recently.
Thank you. It's very exciting to be here because, as the speakers before me have also said, bottom-up dialogue is the lifeblood and vibrancy of digital multi-stakeholderism that we all cherish. So from that perspective, when I look at the experience of civil society at the Global Dialogue on AI Governance, this is what I wanted to share. I think that in any dialogic process, one of the challenges that we repeatedly encounter is how to ensure that our voice effectively coheres into meaningful agenda setting. And to be very honest, in the global dialogue on AI, we are still figuring this out. So as you all know, the global dialogue on AI governance, derives its legitimacy from the UN Global Digital Compact, and it's established by the General Assembly. And it seeks to be a platform that can bring together common understandings on priority areas for international AI governance. At the same time, the dialogue is not a negotiating forum, and the official position, as also outlined in the website of the Global Dialogue on AI, which you can also check out, is that though every dialogue will conclude with a co-chair summary, there is a deliberate design that will allow every country to participate on equal footing without constraints that formal negotiations would impose. And along with countries, other stakeholders would also share their perspectives on different thematic areas of AI governance. And the hope is to build a cumulative understanding. So I think for us at civil society, the challenge is to see how there can be a common bottom line in AI governance, because this conversation is currently fragmented and split across a range of forums, both inside and outside the UN system. And what does it mean to build a baseline floor for rights-based development? So based on the first dialogue that we attended, 5 civil society coalitions, the Global Digital Justice Forum, the Global Digital Rights Coalition, the Global South Alliance, MAP AI, and the civil society members of the Gender in Digital Coalition, we put together an analysis of what we felt about the consultation process and the outcomes. And I'll just take 30 seconds more. The upshot of this is as follows. There was a lot of intent to ensure diversity of voices through regional and online consultations, But in the 2 days of the dialogue itself, the discussion on certain human rights and development issues were uneven, and opportunities for direct engagement between governments and other stakeholders were limited. And constituency voices from different marginalized groups, especially, were also limited. In terms of outcomes, we would have liked to hear more attention to the precautionary principle, environmental, labor, and social impacts, the pro-commons governance of data resources and open source AI stack, corporate accountability, and specific commitments on fixing prevailing liability frameworks and gaps, secure by design and secured by default approaches to have meaningful AI safety, and effective points of coordination with other processes in the UN institutional system,
Nandini,
including the
yes,
OHCHR and IPCC. Thank you.
Nandini, yes, thank you so much because we need to go also to the next round. Thank you for your opening remarks. And so the voice from the voice to the meaningful agenda is very, very important that you highlighted. Thank you so So now, yes, so with that opening remarks from Jennifer, from Gitanjali and Nandini, now we move on to the first round. But before that, I think there's a slight change in the schedule because Gitanjali has to leave sharp at 11:15 because she had some other commitment. She just requested us. So with that, quickly, I think I come back to Jennifer and then, of course, to Nandini, 2, 3 minutes each. And then Gitanjali, when she can also highlight the presentation, and of course we may have some quick Q&A for if any questions they may have, we may have from the audience. So now coming back to the first round of discussion, I think I invite Jennifer, if you can highlight. Of course, you were saying something in there. You were saying those important points in the opening remarks. But again, as if you can just be specifically highlight some of the important priorities for 2026 and also how it contributes to the new IGF forum and also strengthening of the NRIs, how that we look at in this 2026, especially where we're having in December. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Syed. I guess without repeating what I said earlier, I think it's important for us to remember, a lot of these recommendations have come from our community, from previous MAG members, from previous MAG chairs, from a lot of those of us who've been supporting the IGF since day one, even before that. And so we have more than 20 years worth of recommendations. What do we do with that now? I think particularly for this cycle, the 2026 cycle, and I've said this to the MAG members as well, we need to make sure we set a realistic expectation. We lay the foundation of what will then form a multi-year kind of strategic direction of where this now permanent IGF can take off from. I think one of the most important parts is we already have such rich strands of intercessional work. We need to improve those formats and make that the outputs of those formats more cohesive, tangible in the ways that it brings us closer to the different pieces of the WSIS architecture, both in terms of WSIS Forum, the WSIS action lines, going towards CSTD. I mentioned a little briefly earlier in the opening that of course we have evolved the best practice forums, of which I think cybersecurity was one of the most long-standing best practice forums with successes in actual tangible outputs. We've now evolved that into the larger, more umbrella format of the policy networks, and I guess I'll specify the 4 that the MAG has approved for this year. The first one I think is known to a lot of us, and many of us in APrIGF or APAC do participate in this one, is the policy network on artificial intelligence. The work is now starting. There is a work plan that is out for comments from the community. So I think I'll share the links after I do this because I can't do this at the same time. Do participate. Do take a look at this work plan. Do join. The second one is the policy network on cybersecurity. So what I mentioned earlier was the evolving of the best practice forums into this larger format of intercessional work. This one will be also starting work very, very soon. I would be expecting the co-facilitators of this policy network to be able to come up with a draft work plan after their first call with the community. And again, the work plan is created alongside everybody in the community as well. The third one is the Policy Network on Digital Inclusion. That one used to be called PNMA. So it used to be called Policy Network on Meaningful Access, but obviously access is not the only thing that we talk about. And I think changing this name to digital inclusion gives us a more holistic look at all of the different gaps that still remain, not just access. There are other things that, connectivity is not the only thing that is the problem or the gap we're trying to address in many of the regions. There's lots more in terms of capacity building, in terms of multilingual internet, in terms of accessibility that is very important for digital inclusion. So that policy network is also starting work. Work plan is out for policy expert and community input. And then finally, we have the Policy Network on Open Digital Infrastructure. And this one is a new one that we have approved this year. I think this one is particularly important and timely. I think there's a lot of conversation and workshop sessions and a lot of different webinars that happened across the last 18 months, especially coming out of the Oslo meeting of last year. There was a lot of discussion on digital public infrastructure, open digital infrastructure as well. So if you are interested in looking at that work, I also encourage you to participate in this policy network. I've only focused on the PN part of the intersessional work that we have. But of course, NRIs, not just APrIGF, you have your own national and sub-regional meetings here in APAC. A lot of you are also very much involved leading that work, participating in that work, curating the agendas for that work. So I think you can let me know what it is that, especially from the now 180 plus strong NRI network, that we can do at the MAG level, at the global IGF level, to bring our work closer. I think every year we know that there are certain sessions that the NRI network does have at the global IGF, but not just, a one and done thing at the end of the year and only working towards creating those sessions. I think it's more important for us to think about the outputs and work across the calendar year, because the NRIs, they have their meetings across the calendar year. There are different outputs and learnings that can also provide input into the different intersessional work strands, be it the policy networks or the dynamic coalitions. And that's the last part. The third part of the intersessional work tracks or work streams that I'm talking about. These are topic specific. So there are dynamic coalitions. I believe there are, I don't know what the number is right now, but certainly I think it's around 30, and don't quote me on this number. I will find out more. Okay, there's 23. I see there's 23 active dynamic coalitions on the IGF webpage, and they do have, I think, a periodic coordination call as well. If you are interested in a specific topic, of course, you can take a look at the list of dynamic coalitions and participate. If you don't see something that you think would be suited for this format, I think it's highly also encouraged to see what the criteria is, and IGF Secretariat would be very happy to assist you in starting a new dynamic coalition. So kind of going kind of a whistle-stop tour of
Jen,
all of the different
Jen,
ways that we can participate. I'll stop here. I know that you really want
yes,
to go on to
yes.
the next one, so I'll hand it
All
right back
right.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What is very important is that there's so many opportunities now, and for dynamic coalitions and policy networks you have, I think the forum now gives a lot of scope to participate and engage meaningfully in days to come. Thank you for those highlights. I think I now come back to Nandini. Nandini, I request you, if you just, because you'll have another round, Nandini, to come back. So maybe in 2-3 minutes, you just highlight carry forward some of the points that you discussed regarding the global AI discussions, summit governance discussions that you were part of that. So only 2-3 minutes, and then we'll come back to you, Nandini. So yeah, over to you quickly.
Yeah. So without repeating what I said and keeping it short, there are just three things that were somewhat like aha moments from the dialogue when I had an opportunity to listen and absorb. So the first point is that it's very clear that there is increasing recognition that the question of AI is not about a question of technology diffusion or adoption, but it's about building an innovation economy that leaves no one behind. And particularly in economies where knowledge has always been tacit as opposed to codified, AI will cause enormous disruption, which needs to be carefully managed for development. Similarly, like many people here, the release of the report of the IISP that we watched with great anticipation. In the opening panel, there was a presentation of these three particular structural harms that we must be attentive to, which I think is a cautionary note for all of us, which is about the risk of epistemic erosion, fracturing of shared reality that threatens vibrancy of democracy, and finally, the fact that safety harms are no longer just bugs in the design of AI, they are business model itself. And what does it mean for the future-proofing innovation governance? I'll just stop here.
That's so nice of you. Thank you. I think you just mentioned the safety framework and the issues that being structural harms, the issues being discussed. And of course, we'll come back to you in the next round. Now over to Gitanjali. I think you may please kindly share the PPT, and of course, you may please share us the important highlights that you wanted to share. Over to you, Gitanjali.
Thank you, Syed, and thank you, Nandini and Jennifer, for giving me more time in this round. Can you hear me, Syed? Yeah. Okay. So I can see many familiar names who have joined us today, and many of you were at the WSIS Forum. So it's not something new for you. But what we really enjoyed seeing at this WSIS Forum were that there were many new faces. And this is what we want to encourage, that it's not only the WSIS dinosaurs, as we call them, who are kind of working around the system, but we need young people like Rani and others who are coming into the process and taking over from all of us as well. So what was that week about? That week, we branded it as the Geneva Digital Week, and it was held alongside the AI for Good Global Summit and the first UN Global Dialogue on AI Governance. So that's how the week was structured, so that you don't have to come multiple times to Geneva, but at least for the WSIS Forum, the AI for Good, you're there and you are kind of attending everything together. Again, I would like to emphasize, Syed, that our multi-stakeholder community delivered, because me as the main organizer of the WSIS Forum was wondering if AI for Good and the global dialogue would get more attention since it's happening at the same time. But that was not the case. Our rooms were full, our community was there, we were discussing, we were serious, because it was the first WSIS Forum after the UNGA overall review. So it also gave us an opportunity to kind of discuss items which were through the agenda we tried to look at items that were kind of looked at as not met in the WSIS resolution. Yeah, so I'll get to those topics, but we focused more on that, and that's what came through the open consultation process. So here you can see the queue that we had for the WSIS Forum, from the ITU Montbriand building to the Tower building. So that it was a long queue and a hot day. So, just to give you a glimpse of how it was. So in total, we had more than 12,000 participants for the week. We had 250 sessions plus sessions through the WSIS Forum and through the open consultation process. And I'll also combine this, Syed, because you asked me how can this community participate more. For the WSIS Forum 2027, we will be launching the open consultation process very soon. So all of you must be part of the WSIS Flash, which is kind of a monthly or more regular newsletter. And that contains all this information. And of course, all our social media channels where you can see everything that we are launching. So the open consultation process. And there is no single uh, request that is not there is no selection process, as we may call it, right? So anyone who is a credible organization and is submitting a request for a workshop is given a workshop at the WSIS Forum. So please keep that in mind. And another highlight of the event is the engagement we get from the governments. So 78 ministers and deputies joined the leaders talks, which Nandini was also moderating. She was moderating one of them, and Amrita has also done this in the past. And we had 46 head of regulatory bodies and 29 UN heads and deputies. So, which is really good for the momentum that the WSIS plus 20, resolution created. The important part to highlight was that we also had high representation from the private sector, which we are always lacking. The WSIS Forum has been able to evolve with the support of the civil society, our technical community, governments, of course, the UN, but we have to get the interest of the startups and the private sector so that we can get them engaged with the work that we are doing. So the chair, every year we have a minister who's the chair, and our chair was the Egyptian minister, Engineer Excellency Rafat Hendi, and he will basically continue to be the ambassador of the WSIS Forum for the year. So from till the next WSIS Forum when it's handed to the next chair. So, like I said, we got a lot of submissions through the open consultation process. A lot of you wanted us to focus on human rights, persons with disabilities, artificial intelligence, governance, digital health, a lot of focus on developing countries and LLDCs. So this is how we build our agenda and our program. We receive submissions from you, and based on those, we club them together, and that's how the agenda and the program is done. The exhibition was fantastic. We had 50 plus exhibition spaces. These are also free of cost. So if you request for an exhibition space through the open consultation process, we make it possible for you to interact with all the people who are there at the WSIS Forum. This is getting a bit expensive for us because Palexpo is very expensive, even though the booths were really small, but still to have a space at Palexpo is a bit expensive. So I think Jennifer also spoke about, these extra budgetary processes within the UN system. Budget is always an issue. UN engagement, I must say, we were really successful. Like for the first time ever, the president of the UN General Assembly was there, and it's really important that this disconnect between New York and Geneva and New York and Asia Pacific has been the bridge has kind of been bridged due to the WSIS plus 20 process. We had so many briefing sessions. Like I said, our Secretary General herself did so many briefing sessions in New York with the ambassadors, with the UN. So it was a great pleasure to welcome the president, because they would not know what the WSIS Forum is. When we started, they really didn't know what the WSIS Forum was, what action line was IGF was. So it's really important to connect these people. Mr. Guy Ryder, the Under Secretary General, was also present at the WSIS Forum. So the high-level dialogues, the way we chose them was, like I said, the things that the WSIS resolution said were not working for WSIS, because this is what they said, that, one, connectivity for refugees, financial mechanism for digital for development, developing countries and landlocked countries, engaging more with parliamentarians, mayors, so these kind of things were what we focused, bringing in the voices of the youth and so on, so forth. Now, the other important thing for the entire WSIS process is the WSIS action lines. So the whole process is around the implementation of the action lines. what we learned during the WSIS Plus 20 review was that many of those who were against the WSIS process continuing beyond 2025, they mentioned that, oh, action lines are doing no work. We have basically not done anything. This was the comment that we received. And this is the reason why it was a wake-up call that we actually didn't have like a page that documents everything that we have been doing. We have actually monthly meetings with all the WSIS action line facilitators of the UN system. There are roadmaps, there are implementation actions, but there is a WSIS stock taking database that has all these actions from all stakeholders recorded, but it was not in one page. So what we did was in January, this is what we did. We are starting to work with all the UN Action Line facilitators to have one page that will have all the actions from the UN Action Line facilitators out there. So this should be available really soon. And we have to also present this to the CSTD in 2027. Another important mandate was that it came for the Partnership on Measuring ICT for Development. Now, this partnership has launched a survey. I hope all of you have that survey. Otherwise, I'll share it with the Secretariat. They are collecting existing methodologies for quantitative and qualitative data for assessing the action lines. So this is a task that they've been given from the General Assembly, and they have to present this also to the CSTD next year. Now, our regulatory roundtable, ministerial roundtable, without much said, did discuss our AI strategy and policy, digital transformation, infrastructure, inclusion. It's really important to keep the ministers informed and grounded, that they have a place also to share best practices amongst each other. And this is the platform that the WSIS Forum gives them annually. You can see the outcomes on the page, on the WSIS Forum page, just to know what happened at this. Of course, we have a lot of other side initiatives like the Women and Girls in Digital Action Plan. So this was the best meeting that happened at the WSIS Forum, I can tell you. We had around 100 women and girls from different parts of the world who are ready to actually work with us on an action plan. So we did prepare an action plan during the meeting, and we are going to share this with the wider community to see how we can implement it and make it possible for this to achieve its goals. We had not just boring, meetings and workshops, but there were many, many occasions for you all to socialize. We had the official reception, we had several knowledge cafes, we had the youth party, which I believe was really successful. I couldn't attend it. Nandini, were you there? No, Nandini couldn't be there as well. And of course, we had yoga sessions from India, from the Indian mission, which were really relaxing at the end of the day for all the delegates. WSIS prizes, another opportunity to look out for. I did see many winners and champions who are participating in today's meeting. Please do already start your preparation. The form remains the same. So try to prepare, and we will soon launch the WSIS prizes now. We have 18 winners, 270 nominees, and we have 72 champions who are awarded every year. The stock taking database, please ensure that all your projects are documented here, because this is kind of a one-stop shop for anyone searching for projects in WSIS action lines related to the SDGs and also the GDC. So we've added the GDC objectives to the WSIS stock taking database as well. So when you fill up the form, you will be asked to link your projects to these three: action lines, SDGs, and GDCs objectives, so that when people are doing a search, they are able to find your project very easily. Another opportunity is the photo contest. Asia Pacific is our top submitter, actually, to everything: the prizes, the photo contest. These are used all throughout Geneva, ITU, other UN agencies use it. They're all online, and they are for you to use free of cost. You just have to share the copyright of WSIS Forum, and that's it. So because they are, I wouldn't say copyright, because they are like free for use. So it's just kind of giving the for the photo, giving the recommendation of where it came from. This U track was exciting. We are able to increase. This is really important, as I said in the beginning, that it's not us that carry the whole responsibility. The youth has to feel that this is important for them. So we are trying to create an atmosphere where they feel that it's important. Women and girls, there were many sessions where we brought leaders, women from all over the world to work together. We had a strong business roundtable. ICC and USCIB brought these business leaders together. And it's really important, like I said, to engage all these communities and make them feel that WSIS is important. Now, as civil society meeting, we made big efforts to organize this, but as you can see, the room was empty. Okay, I know that all of you were busy during the week, but colleagues, next year we really want to see this room full. We should work on an agenda beforehand. We should try to see how we can build on this. Also seeing how we can link the IGF and WSIS Forum together. So really, please think about it. We should be able to do something here. All our outcomes are online. So if you're looking for any outcome of any session or what a certain minister said or what the chair's summary was, you can find them all online. So of course, no event here with extra budgetary can be done without the support of partners. So we did manage to have a successful event because of our partners. Very quickly, I'm about to end, Syed. The UNGIS task force. We were asked by the UN Secretary resolution to have to create a task force. This was the task given to ITU as the Secretariat of UNGIS. So we have created the task force, and the first meeting of the task force will happen in September. There are 27 task force members representing all these different UN agencies who nominated themselves to be part of the task force. We are also going to be having the digital at UNGA in September. We will have 2 WSIS affiliate sessions. So like I said, our Secretary General is trying to make sure that WSIS and digital is high on the agenda of UN in New York. So we have started this annual thing called Digital at UNGA. I hope you all did participate in the Digital at UNGA awards. There were many. I think India was the 3rd highest in terms of submissions towards the awards, and Asia Pacific as well. There were many from Bangladesh, Nepal, China. There were many from our region. That was impressive. So we will have 2 sessions, one at the permanent mission of Egypt. We will put these online at the WSIS website. And the second one will be it's a UNGIS session. I don't think it's here in the slides, but it is an UNGIS session that will also be happening. I'm about to close. The UNGIS also asked us to create the multi-stakeholder consultation group. So we called for nominations towards these group. We have the nominations, and now we are going to be working on the group composition. We received more than 100 nominations. So we are trying to ensure that we are able to give a role to the ones who have been nominated. So we are taking some time with the group composition and consultation within the UN, and this will be out very soon as well. And many of you, Syed, I know, will be involved in this MCG as well. Back to you, Syed.
Okay, thank you. I think such a wonderful work, and also this year's engagement has been very, very prolific. And in 2027 forum, I think our community, APAC community, the APrIGF community looks forward, especially in the civil society segment of participation. And I think that is what is important on the highlight. And after all this work, what you highlighted, what is emerging very strongly is that, of course, WSIS continues to be the central global MSG platform. And I think the whole world, I think the information community, information society community looks towards advancing the WSIS action lines. And that is what we are all working towards that. I think thank you, Gitanjali, for those wonderful highlights. And of course, you have to leave, you mentioned. Do you have time for one question? Do you have a time for
Sure,
one
Syed.
question?
Sure. Definitely.
Okay. So you'll be here for a few minutes more. Is that
Yes,
okay?
I can stay on. for some minutes.
Okay,
Sure,
okay,
if there's a question.
okay. So I think yeah. So the question is, I think for Jennifer and Nandini, we will after this question we'll come back to you for the question round two, and thank you for your patience. And so Gitanjali, the question for you has been, I think Amrita has put a question here. Amrita, your question, yes, how the linkages of the WSIS processes, IGF and other human processes are being envisaged, and how can the APAC community participate in that? And I think some of you already mentioned. If you can see that question, how the linkages of the WSIS processes,
Yes.
IGF and other human processes are being envisaged, and how can APAC community can participate? I think quickly if you can respond to that.
Thank you, Syed, and thanks for this important question, because this is something the member states also want us to do. They want us to show more and more linkages between the IGF and the WSIS Forum, though they have very clear different mandates. WSIS Forum is for the implementation of the WSIS action lines, and IGF is on internet governance matters. So what we do with a very good collaboration with MAG members, Jennifer, and with the Secretariat, Shengenta and others, is that the MAG meeting, one MAG meeting and one IGF meeting for sure happens at the WSIS Forum. And the WSIS Forum always does an open consultation process physical meeting at the IGF. So this is one of the things that we do. The second thing that we have been doing is that we have been requesting for side events at any UN process related event that is happening. For example, the ECOSOC Youth Summit, the landlocked countries summit that happened in Qatar. So all these, any Beijing Conference on Women, anything that happens within the UN global processes, we are requesting for sessions, and we are making sure that, representatives from the IGF community are also there in these meetings. So this is the way we are trying to, and this really helps, Syed, because like we are saying, WSIS should not be a standalone UN process. It's really important that processes on water, processes on health, processes on, inclusion, like digital, like disabilities, older persons, they know that a process like WSIS exists on digital matters, and that they should be able to come to our community for help when they are looking on matters like of digital. So this is what we are trying to do: create linkages cross-sectoral, especially at the UN level. And the second thing, Syed, which is very important, is linkages with the regional communities. So we work very closely with the regional commissions. I think on the 1st of September, yes, 1st of September, we have the WSIS regional event with SCAP. So I believe many of you may be going for that virtually or physically. But we do have a WSIS session, and we have invited all the prize winners from the Asia Pacific region to join us. So this time I can't go there physically. We are doing it in a virtual way, but some of our prize winners are going to be there who are going to represent us. So this way, we also do the regional meetings with the regional commissions. We'll be very happy to collaborate with your groups like yours as well. Just let us know, like today's collaboration. But if you want like sessions to be done on the ground, we'll be very happy to participate with you as well and partner with you. Back to you, Sayed.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think the points that you highlight and the questions that you responded reflects that I think there's the processes are already in place, the engagements and the cross-cut is already happening, and the WSIS Forum is also trying tremendously to streamline the processes and engage the various other parallel processes together, and the options and the opportunities that we have to collaborate is also very, very significant for us to mindful of that, especially for the APrIGF Forum. We can also collaborate. That is a very interesting aspect that is really helpful for us. And yeah, so with that, I think we finish this round.
Kazi, we'll take a photograph. We'll take
Yes,
a
of course.
photo
Yes,
before.
yes, sure.
Yes.
Yes. So
Thank you.
I think Gitanjali, before you leave, you'll have a good photograph. Yes, Rani, over to you.
Yes, so
Thank
just
you so
take a quick photograph before Gitanjali leaves, and then we can continue with Jennifer and Nandini's for the discussion and then the Q&A. All right. Those who are able and keen to take to have your photo taken, feel free to turn on your video. I'll take a photo now on the first page. 1, 2, 3, smile. And then next page. You can keep smiling. 1, 2, 3, smile. And last page. 1, 2, oops. 1, 2, 3.
Nandini, if you can switch on the video, yeah.
She's just switched. Rani, you may have to take another round because I'm putting on the cameras.
Right. Okay. Last one then. 1, 2.
Nandini, can we invite you to switch on the video
Yeah,
if
she
you are
has her
there?
She has the
camera
camera
on.
on.
Yeah, I have my camera on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
All good, all good. And last one, everybody again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very much. That's all the photos. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Gitanjali, once again for staying on.
Yeah, thank you for the smiling exercise. We had a good break. And thank you so much, Gitanjali, for joining us. And we'll get back to you and look forward to those updates and also opportunities to collaborate, I think. And thank you once again for joining and sharing your perspective and giving your valuable time to us. Thank you once again, Gitanjali. And if you may like to stay back, if you have time, please do. And of course, we'll continue with our round of questions for Jennifer and Nandini. If you allow, I think if you all allow me, then I can now put on the next question to Jennifer. Over to you. The question is, of course, you already highlighted in the intro part and also the first round of the points that you highlighted, the 14 points you talked about. And of course, coming back to you, so I have 2 points to just put to you. One is, of course, the IGF is all about being a free, open, and interoperable internet, bridging the digital divide, growing the digital divide, because digital divide is also various patterns of digital divide emerging in effect. So with that mandate of open, free, open, and interoperable internet and bridging the global digital divide, so how do you see this IGF and also the parallel processes, because this question is very important, IGF and the parallel process happening. So in fact, how do we see this whole thing together in terms of being the IGF secretariat, if taking the lead in terms of the digital policy issues? How do you see that process in that, Jennifer?
Thank you, Syed. I think I'll take part of your question and also try to answer the question I see in chat. I think that Amrita put kindly for me, which I'll just kind of touch on a little bit because she wanted to also know about new initiatives that the IGF is taking to engage the NRI community and the youth more in IGF processes. So I'll backtrack a little bit because you asked about the permanent mandate. What you listed were attributes that I think the multi-stakeholder community, especially the ones that are involved with internet governance, strongly believe in regards to the internet itself. I guess the IGF is still it's still a forum. It's a platform for multi-stakeholder discussion on public policy matters. And I think part of that, of course, would be talking about the open, interoperable, free, secure, uh, um, all the list of attributes of the internet that we know and love and want to remain unfragmented. But this is not the only item that we talk about, obviously, at the IGF. There's more to it than, of course, what some of us will call technical internet governance. There is a lot more broader topics that are on the content that's on top of the technical layer. I think if I may tie that into looking at engaging the NRI community, which APrIGF community is part of, I think it's particularly important and reiterating what I said earlier about not just looking at, having 4 sessions that are NRI curated at the annual meeting. That is the baseline of what we understand and what we've had in previous years. Something more needs to happen to actually have meaningful integration, meaningful cohesion across the intersessional work. One thing that I will strongly advocate for the 2026 cohort and in the MAG is for them to also join if they are able to, that the NRI calls, they would learn so much, and to encourage them to take part in their national, their sub-regional, their regional IGFs if they are not already part of it. I think there's a good number of MAG members that already do that, but I mean, my goal, of course, is to get the whole cohort in there. We'll see. It's a very ambitious goal. Also touching on what Amrita has mentioned, particularly on youth, I think it's incredibly important. We have the Global Youth Track right now. The second part of that is going to be held in conjunction with the Asia Pacific Regional Youth IGF in Kathmandu, and a lot of the youth coordinators and the focal points for the different youth initiatives, they are the ones setting the agenda. They are the ones setting the topic. They are the ones who, in conjunction with the IGF Secretariat, is providing this, I guess this knowledge base that will also inform. I think they're the first session they had was at Eurodig. So YouthDig had the very first, I guess, session on the youth track, the global youth track. The second one will be coming up in October during the APYIGF. So I think that is something that we should take strong notice of, take part in, and listen to the youth from APAC, especially given their activity and their passion all the way from last year, because they also had incredible engagement, and they came out with the Youth APAC statement for WSIS Plus 20 review. I think they were particularly interested to be part of it, not just as a token representation, but those actually being part of decision making, being part of, setting the agenda. So I think that's really important too. And then finally, I'll leave us with in conjunction with the IGF Secretariat, because the MAG is not part of the Secretariat at all. We're just a 40-person divided into 4 stakeholder groups, advising the Secretary General on the annual agenda of the IGF. But certainly the IGF Secretariat themselves hold the institutional memory and knowledge that allows us to improve on all of these processes. I think collectively, I think we were able to do this because every moving part is working towards that way. I hope that answers your question, and I hope that answers Amrita's question. Happy to take more.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think you just responded perfectly on the questions and the points that is very important in terms of the mandate of IGF, and of course the kind of role the Asia Pacific community can also play into the IGF Forum and the events coming up activities. Thank you so much, and I think now I request to invite Nandini for your last part of the points that you just want to reflect in terms of, we had this Global AI Summit, and of course, what is the and you mentioned about the issues already being discussed in the Global AI Dialogue. So, going forward, so, what are the important 1 or 2 aspects that you would like to highlight in terms of a Global AI Dialogue happening next time, if at all happening next year or kind of thing? So what are those important issues we need to have in terms of more from the Asia Pacific perspective and more from the civil society standpoint of view? What will be very relevant going forward, Nandini?
Yes, I would like to take that in conjunction with Amrita's question in the chat, which is about Global South participation and enhancing that in the dialogue. So taking a step back and looking at Asia Pacific realities. So we know that Asia Pacific is a very diverse region, and it has the world's widest cross-country range or disparity in terms of per capita incomes. And AI readiness gaps across the region are suggesting that dividends and disruptions will accrue unevenly, because there are some economies with very high levels of skills and preparedness, frontier economic activities, and governance capabilities, and others that are very fledgling. And the environmental footprint where data center demand is rapidly increasing, big tech investments in data centers in the region are increasing, but water and electricity use and the sustainability challenge, that's becoming serious. And when you look at the region becoming a major center of global gig work, who gains and who loses, and what is happening to power inequalities? I think as civil society in the Asia Pacific, we must be very attentive to the structural injustices and the potential for correcting them, both that the AI paradigm poses, and be able to make this in our demand. My final point is that as civil society, when we try to put our voice into concrete agenda shaping, it's very important to build cross-regional alliances across the global south, because though there would be differences that are very contextually nuanced and specific, there are also some shared experiences of the extractivist dynamics of the digital economy. And I see two things as particularly important, where trying to rein in digital transnational corporations and holding them effectively accountable for both civic, political, and economic, social, cultural rights all across their business operations in AI. This would be super important as a civil society agenda. And secondly, I think building bridges between civil society and the technical community, where right now our progressive vocabulary of open source and interoperability and everything, we see big tech co-opting this for its own enclosures in the AI stack. So what is a progressive AI stack that we build differently for the solidarity and regenerative AI economy? This would be important. And though there may be many differences of position as civil society among all of us, it would still be important to build common minimum programs of action, like we have been trying to do, I think, from the Global Digital Compact onwards, and even before that, actually, where Southern civil society and allies in the North, how do we arrive at a baseline of demands that we can hold in this rapid moment of change? These are my thoughts.
Thank you, Nandini. I think you highlighted some very, very important point of view from the CSO point of view, because we all are very much aware that the first global AI governance, AI Summit on Global Governance, first global AI Summit on Governance is very, very critical, which is a recognition of the fact that the AI governance needs the global participation, multi-stakeholder participation, and in that you also highlighted the role of the civil society. And of course, you mentioned the AI readiness gaps, the dividend and the disruption issues, capabilities issues in the Asia Pacific, and also the environmental issues. I think this is a very contesting point even now, because we all know why this is contesting point. And also the need for alliances, need for common minimum kind of a program, and the alliance, cross-cut alliances for building a progressive AI stack. I think you mentioned so many important perspectives, and of course the role of civil society to be alert and to be sensitive, and also sharing more voices in these forums, and because that is how the role of civil society will be critical going forward in building a just and equitable AI ecosystem with a very good governance framework across the Asia Pacific and at the global level. So thank you, and of course we have Rani, how many minutes we have left, so that we can take one or two questions or something,
Yeah.
if you can allow.
We have about 4 to 5 minutes left in the timing. So any questions, anyone who like to raise their hands, feel free. We might be able to take some questions.
Oh, wonderful. In fact, I was lost in the UTC versus IST, because I know, thank you for, we have some minutes more to relax, and of course, some questions, any questions you may have, anybody. You can have any questions and share to the, for Jennifer and Nandini, for our speakers.
Syed, we also have questions that some participants have indicated in the registration. Perhaps we can look at that.
Right.
And Amrita, I see your hand up as well.
Yeah, and till the time I could always ask a question, till the time you get those questions up. Nandini and Jen, while there is a lot of talk about multi-stakeholderism, participation from Global South, etc., unfortunately, the AI dialogue was I would not say participatory. Only people who could be in expensive Geneva could participate. What would be obviously there should be a call to make an AI kind of a conference, which is tech more equitable for anyone. How do you see that call to be made from the communities so that at least next time we can hope for a more open conference, which is not limited to, I would say, governments and private sector and few civil societies who may manage to be there, but the entire global audience, young people, or anyone who belongs to any community.
Maybe I'll answer a little bit first in the IGF context, and of course, Nandini, please continue with your perspectives and so I guess there's been quite a lot of requests and calls from the community about whether or not IGF would be able to also have a more multi-stakeholder minded dialogue, a real dialogue on this global dialogue on AI. The intention of the IGF Secretariat is, of course, to invite the new appointed co-facilitators on the next global dialogue, but I think the expectation is that they won't be identified until probably end of September during high-level week at UNGA, or even a bit later. So I think it might be even October before we know who these co-facilitators are. But in any case, they would be invited to come and join us at the Global IGF in December in Nairobi, Kenya, and online. I think there's one beauty that the IGF is very good at. We are very good at bringing real multi-stakeholder dialogue to the table. And I think that is something that we did miss very much during the Digital Week in Geneva. I think, of course, the Global Dialogue Secretariat did a very good job with all of the limited time that they had to be able to execute all of that. They did a very good job, of course, with the high-level speakers list. But I think there is the component where Amrita pointed out that is particularly important, and I'm happy to have IGF fill that gap, even though it might be informal.
Right. So Nandini, yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things. Amrita, I agree with you. But one of the things that, when we were deconstructing what happened in the dialogue and discussing with civil society colleagues in the GDJF and outside also, there were two things that stand out for me. That an AI dialogue where an entire complex debate is reduced to kind of 2 days of ritual performance, where you select plenary slots of a limited few, and some people will make it, some people will not make it. This has its own limitations. And unless we have a process where right from the national to the regional to the global level, we know how the demands travel and how our civil society demands coalescing, we end up in a situation where there are many online consultations and then there is a face-to-face dialogue, but we don't know how the agenda is cohering and traveling and who is representing and how do we see what are the convergences and divergences. We have kind of like put together a set of procedural recommendations in our joint civil society report touching upon some of these aspects, though not all of these aspects. But one of the concerns for us is that the AI dialogue is not a place where decisions are happening. And in many other parts of the UN systems, whether you look at the WHO or the CFS and many other things, and even in regional forums and even in trade agreements, the rules for AI are getting set. So as the AI global dialogue, as the true conversation on AI gets fragmented across all these forums, as civil society, how do we ensure our agenda doesn't get fragmented? And how do we effectively develop a coalition response? This is also one of the concerns on my mind.
Thank you. Thank you. I think if we wish we would have more time, of course, there's so many things to discuss and understand and deliberate and discuss. But unfortunately, we're at the top of the hour. And of course, Rani, we have two, three questions we can see, but we don't have time, is it? We don't have time, right?
Yeah, we don't have
We don't
time.
have time. Yeah, we're top of the hour. But I'm hopeful that, of course, we'll be meeting Jennifer in Kathmandu for the APrIGF. Hopefully, Jennifer, you're coming. We'll have a lot of questions for you there, of course. And then we have Nandini, hopefully you're also joining, and other stakeholders will be joining. And I think the next month, which is, of course, another month to go for the APrIGF, we will have all of you and some of you, all of you to also meet in person and discuss and deliberate. And of course, the civil society part that you mentioned, Nandini, lastly, that we need to have a cohesive thing. And overall, finally, I think the discussions for the past more than 1 hour has been very, very important, prolific. And for me, it's always a learning from experts like Jennifer, Nandini, and of course, Gitanjali and many of other speakers. But with that, I think we have very, very important takeaways from this discussion, because we started with the agenda that these global events had happened and what are the important outcomes we discussed, and we got to hear all the important perspective from Jennifer, from Nandini, from Gitanjali, that the kind of things happening also, and going forward, what these dialogues will carry forward for the Asia Pacific community, the kind of roles that we need to play from the APrIGF. And I think these are well set, I think, for us, for the community also going forward to participate and engage ourselves in a more meaningful way. And with those thoughts, I think a big thank you for Jennifer, for Nandini, for Amrita, and of course all the audience and the participants who have joined, and for your valuable time and patience and listening and the contribution that you have done with your presence. And of course, finally, a big thank you to Rani for, I think, the wonderful work that you have been doing, supporting now and then, every time, 24/7, to make this webinar a success. And I feel this is a good success in terms of the first webinar we had from the working group. And we look forward. And the last, my remark is that this working group will also have open dialogue session for 1 hour in the Kathmandu in a hybrid mode, and we look forward to participate and discuss more on these issues that we have discussed. So with that thought, with that last remark, thank you once again, and look forward, see you soon, and the recordings and everything will be made available very soon by the secretary. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time and your contribution once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nandini and Jen. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.